Hi, everybody. My name is Coffee Brown, and this YouTube channel, is called, as you can see over there, Coffee Spills the Tea. So today is Friday, June 6th, 2025. And before I get started, let me just let you know it has been 5 weeks since I started with my whole fitness and wellness journey. Just my reinvention of getting myself to the point of being healthier and happier. So it's going to be a long road of getting myself to a point of wellness. But I do feel a lot happier and a lot healthier than the first day that I went to the gym and started huffing and puffing away and was missing all of my snacks and junk food dearly. I am happy to say that at the end of week 5, I am not missing junk food. I don't crave for the junk that I used to throw down my gullet. And so that's a blessing. And I just need to focus on building up my fitness level as well as just continuing on with healthy eating habits and with getting more healthy eating habits. So tomorrow I will do my weigh in the morning, and then I will take the dogs out because unless it's raining, I usually on Saturdays and Sundays, I don't go to the gym, but I will walk 1 to 2 hours with my dogs outside in my neighborhood because we have a number of trails, and then come back and report back to all of you. So look forward to a video tomorrow where I give an update. I'm going to give a weigh-in, and I'm going to let you know how I feel about everything so far with that. So I hope you'll be able to tune in tomorrow as I update people on my resets, my lifestyle resets. And I hope that you are doing it as well. So let's go into, today is kind of like, you ever watch Jeopardy, right? When they would have like one, they'd always say, like, we're going to do one on the Civil War. Here's a category on like, like movies. And here's a category on economics. And there'd always be one on the end called hodgepodge, where it's like, it could be anything. We're on the end, on that last row on the right. This is hodgepodge. And I've been kind of wanting to talk about a number of things and just find out how everyone is doing as far as their updates. Or with Are you doing anything to educate yourself? Have you done anything to change your lifestyles? Have you done anything to declutter? Have you done anything to getting more money, squeezing more money out of you? Are you avoiding some of those pitfalls and things that I've been talking about over the last few weeks? This is kind of like a hodgepodge. Now, I don't like talking about politics because it's divisive, and I don't know if it really, in this grand scheme of things, I know it helps, but like when you're on these YouTube channels and you're kind of looking for something that's going to be uplifting, it's hard to be uplifting these days, right? But I do want to talk about some things with that. I have some things to say. And some of the things that is going on in our country, I'm talking about United States, unfortunately, it's a political issue. And so I couldn't, I laid in bed last night for the 5 minutes before I fell asleep, trying to figure out like, how am I gonna like talk around it? And I was just like, you know what? I think the best thing to do is just talk about it. So I will try to note where in the video it is. So if you're just like, you know what, I want to hear all this crap, when you get to that point in the video, you can just skip forward and then go to the next point. So I will note where in the video that is, so you can just skip over it if you're like, I don't want to hear that. But I do have some things I want to say. So one of the things I wanted to, let's just jump right in because I really want to find out how are things going as far as your studying. Remember, I talked about how you can increase your salary. Could you go to a six-figure salary if if you take some courses, some easy courses, and just, brush up your resume and just make it look like you acquired some skills? I hope so. Am I at a six-figure salary right now? No. But like I have had some like really good interviews and I have one down the line that a friend has referred me for. They just postponed everybody they're interviewing for this particular position to later on in a few months because they said, hey, we are retooling our company, and we definitely want to talk with you. I never had to submit my resume, just a referral. It was a referral of somebody who's high up at that company that really wants to try to get me hired. And he was like, this is the perfect job for you. The great thing about it is that because I've been, trying to like brush myself up. In my case, I'm in IT and I'm trying to brush up hard on like more technical skills. Like they're just like, we think you could actually go for this job. So that is a six-figure salary. They also have and I was a little concerned about interviewing for it now because they have a European position, same position, but in Europe as in the United States. And I really wanted to interview and then just say, but can I go to Europe if I get the US one? So now that they postponed it for a few months, it actually works to my advantage because all the things that I'm doing right now with studying, with a lot of the things that I've given you, like the like go to this website, go to Coursera, you can audit, go to edX, go to can't think of anything else right now, but go to those websites and you can take classes and get courses for free and then use that to skill up hard. And in this case, for me, I've been skilling up kind of hard and I've been starting to put my information out there on LinkedIn that I'm into like AI. I'm more technical now and I'm starting to get more traction. Now, I got hired for a contract. I have to fill out the paperwork and everything. And they were like, we're going to start you on an 8-week contract. And then it will move up to a possibly 32-week contract. And while that's happening, because it's a nighttime thing, which is even better, I have another contract that could start in September. And that contract is also at night / early in the morning because it's training people on a different continent, which happens to be way I'll be getting up at 3 in the morning, but only for once a week and only for like an hour and a half. This is like no, or 3 hours. Like I can do that. Like you want me to come in and teach from like midnight to 3 a.m.? Got it. I'm there. No big deal. It'll be the day that I don't go to the gym. So yes, like if I were to say get this job in a few months where they interview and I will know exactly, like he's given me like all the information as far as like this is what we do, this is what you need to know, this is what we need you to emphasize. I'm like, okay, I still have to go up against really good people. But say if I got that job and then I got my 2 night jobs as well. And the night jobs would be great because they're like so much later at night that like I can afford to do, and I know this sounds crazy because it's like you're working a lot, but I could do those three jobs. And for like 3 years, I could do those three jobs, and then I could quit like at least like one of them. And then just maybe probably the one where I have to work like 3 nights a week. And I could just do the one and on the different continent and work one time for 3 hours and make and use that money to put into just savings and never touch it. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, like, but it's all because I have been upskilling, sitting here, like, not doing anything and just like trying to push my resume out over and over and over again was like producing very little, if any, traction. And as I've said before, or I could have went down the street and got a job over here at this other store down the street. There's a place that's hiring. I could walk every day, but I need a job where I will be remote and remote work from anywhere because as you saw last week, I had like a 4-page letter from the Italian consulate saying these are things you need to do in order to be able to get this visa. And so I can't, and nobody could. You can't just get a remote job and just be like, I'm a remote now and just go to Italy. It just doesn't work like that. They are going to look at a specific type of job. And if you don't meet that specific requirement, where you are working in a highly professional field, like a very highly specialized professional field, I mean, you have to be working in that kind of field. It must be remote. Remote as in you are going to our country, but your job is in a different country. Or you are working for some other European company, like where I plan on, like what I would love to do with this company that I'm going to be interviewing with. And they are saying, you will be our European person. It means I will be traveling around Europe. Got to figure out what to do with my dogs. And I will be working for them when I have to travel. Because even when they're remote, it's still work from home, like this company that I really would love to go work for. So yeah, I hope that if you're like me and you're like, look, I just really want to leave the country, and other countries will check. If you're trying to get that digital nomad, you need to be able to make sure that you are totally remote, 100% remote, and they're going to ask you for proof. They're going to ask, okay, you work for XYZ company. We need you to go to XYZ company and bring that letter that says that we are authorizing you to work in our country. And we are going to meet your employment regulatory requirements. And I don't know of a lot of companies that are going to do that unless they do something like, say, if you're making $70,000 and you're going to go to Italy, they'll probably like say, okay, we're going to pay you like 40. And 40,000 a year in Italy is still really good money. You're considered well off over there because most people are making about 23, 25,000 on average. So if you're making 40, so if you're making like 75, 80, you're gonna be making like 40 because they have to pay the government and they have to pay your retirement benefits and things a bit differently, and they have to cover your taxes and you have to cover your taxes. So it's different. So if you are going to be working overseas, you need to make sure that you have that remote work. And it has to be a specific type of remote work. Check with the consulates, check with do the online research, maybe get an immigration lawyer. I will have to get an immigration lawyer at some point because I cannot do this on my own. I just can't. Um, yeah, so I hope that you are doing that. Go back to my videos. I do have a video that talks about one or two videos that talk about like free training. And it says something like free training. Black women, free training. Go and do that stuff because it really, I think, makes a big difference. I have a lot of training that I have to do between now and probably like beginning of September. I have a lot of certifications I plan to achieve between now and September, which is kind of funny because when I got my last certification, which I think was in January, I said, I don't want to do any more certs. My mind is just tired right now. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I really don't want to do any more certs this year. And then what's like my plan? Like, okay, I have like 3 or 4 Microsoft certs I want to get. Now there's an AWS certification I need to get. So that's 5 right there. And I think there's like a possible 6th one. Yes, there's a 6th one because there's a machine learning certification I'd like to get my hands on. So there's like 6 certifications that I need to get between now and like September 15th. And I'm really tired. My mind is really tired, but it's still running. It's still, takes a licking but keeps on ticking. That's my mind right now. And the more I do when it comes to the AI field, the better off my chances are of getting this type of independent work. So yeah, and like today, I have to talk to a nonprofit because they want me to come in and teach some classes for them. I'm happy to do it and happy to help them by coming in and teach them classes. And if they scratch my back, I'll scratch theirs. So you got to do what you got to do to get yourself to being independent so that you can get out in the world and like go to another part of the world you want to go to. Okay, so I hope that you are your doing your studies, increasing your knowledge, putting it out there. Get that certificate of completion if you are able to, because I know some places you wouldn't be able to unless you pay a little extra money. And if you're paying a little extra money, get that certificate of completion. Um, Another thing that I wanted to just, briefly chat about was how is your financial security looking? Like, like, are you doing the things that I talked about doing? And remember, I had talked about like I had like a couple $1,000, like over almost $3,000 worth of savings from things that I had like just had around the house, things that I sold, and like going online to the states where I used to live and finding out that I had money from those treasuries departments. So I got all this money back and had used it rather to pay off bills. And I thought that's great. Yay. Okay, so I hope that you are doing that. But I also talked about some of the things for you to avoid. And one of the things that I talked about was buy now, pay later. And the reason why I'm bringing this back is because I continue to see a proliferation of buy now, pay later coming up. And people are starting to get behind with it. And it's very easy because you can now do buy now, pay later for not everything, but for a lot of things. It kind of scares me at how easy it is for them to say, hey, buy now, pay later, and treat it as though it's kind of like a little credit card. But there's a time limit on buy now, pay later. They're going to make you pay interest, and there's a time limit. And if you end up having or not able to make your payments, they're going to start charging you all these exorbitant fees. And I'm really concerned. This is not like a credit card. It's worse than a credit card. It's short-term loans where and I don't care what they say, they're gonna ding your credit. They're gonna ding your credit every time you're opening up one of these short-term loans. You're opening up your credit report, and these things will accumulate over time. And people are going to see that you're becoming a buy now, pay later junkie. Added to the fact that you can buy now, pay later for like Uber Eats and like Grubhub and like Like I was looking at grocery stores, and I understand that people are really in a bind right now when it comes to finances and money, and people are getting desperate because they are saying, I have no money. And I understand it because I have put myself into a little bit of a poverty situation, but it's because I need a specific type of job, work from home job. Luckily, like they are starting to now like come through, and I've got a couple of jobs lined up and then some coming up towards the end of the year, and I'm gonna be okay. And that's why I'm just like, whatever. But I would never do a buy now, pay later. And what's happening is that every time people are opening up buy now, pay laters, and then like all of a sudden you've got this chunk of money that has to be paid every single month. You miss a payment, you are having issues. You are having issues, and I'm concerned about that. So I want to just bring something to you. I mean, I just said, you know what, I have to, in all good conscience, I have to bring this to you because I really want to make sure that you are clear on the buy now, pay later. So as you can see here, it says late payments are becoming more common among buy now, pay later users. And as the BNPL, buy now, pay later users grow, so do payment challenges. Okay. The Lending Tree report found that 41% of users made at least one late payment in the past year, up from 34% the previous year. It's incredible that 34% of people couldn't make or had a problem last year, and now 41%. I, I don't understand. I many people rely on multiple loans at once. So they go to the store and they get a buy now, pay later for their food. And then they go to some restaurant and where they have a buy now, pay later set up with a firm or whatever. And then they get on Amazon and they're like, you know what? Like I really want to be able to buy presents for the kids, and these tariffs are killing me. I'll do a buy now, pay later. And it's just starting to build up. And that's what these multiple loans are that's going on. Now, luckily, it's 71% of Gen Z are buying now, and it's not like us older people. Sorry if you're a Gen Z watching this, but I assume this is like an older people's channel at this point. Having more than one active loan at the same time. 26% they juggled at least three loans, at least, not three, or not up to three, but at least. Okay. It's a bridge to their next paycheck. And they're covering essential living expenses rather than optional purchases. It is crazy. They are growing a growing presence in food deliveries. You really are going to put yourself in debt for a food delivery. You know what I don't like is putting myself in debt for something that I eat in one orifice, and I'm just going to be frank, and it comes out the other orifice. I don't understand that. Don't do that. Food is so temporary. Like, I just don't even understand that. Like, I'm sorry, but look, Klarna recently announced a partnership with DoorDash. Some consumers regret using loan services. They should all regret using loan services. 48% said they've regretted the buy now, pay later finance at some point. With Gen Z, these poor young fools expressing regret. And I expect that from Gen Z. Look, Gen Z, if you're a Gen Z person, I'm going to tell you right now, you're influenced by social media and these influencers. that come out and they sell you some stupid crap and sell you on a pipe dream. And then you all go out and says, I got to do that. I got to get that. I got to have that. And then once you get it, really, it's temporary happiness. I'm going to tell you within 72 hours of you getting that and showing it off to your friends, it will mean nothing. And that's what this regret's about. Because not only are you buying crap that means nothing, you're now having to like pay it back over X amount of time plus interest. Okay, so returning an item bought through buy now, pay later can be more challenging than traditional purchases. Here's what happened. This is what got me so frightened, is that they were doing some stories in the news and like some news show I was watching on YouTube, and people had purchased the buy now, pay later, like some crap that they bought on buy now, pay later. But of course, the Klarna people, like they put the money down. But when you need to get the refund, how are you going to get the money back? And you still have to continue to make the payments until that's resolved. And what happens if you make all the payments and then it's resolved? Do you think you're going to get that money back? This is a pretty much unregulated business. And it's getting worse because I think it's Klarna, I want to say, is now saying they're going to offer a debit card. What? What? What does that mean? It means here's what I'm going to predict. They're going to offer a credit card or a debit card, right? And what they're going to do is say, we're just going to want you to put your paychecks on this debit card or whatever. Like, like a new bank. And so you're going to be taking your paychecks and putting it right onto your debit card. And then they're going to use that to turn around and say, you use that debit card to make your payments. And they're going to charge you a fee. And so you're going to be paying like double fees, double fees, because in between your paychecks, if something comes due, they'll be like, oh, we'll just take it from your debit card. This is how I think I don't like it's like modern day sharecropping. Like once slavery ended, they were like, you know what, we can't keep these slaves, but you know what we could do? We could just keep them indefinitely indentured servitude. Let's make them sharecroppers. We'll give them some land, or we'll have them work on the same land that they were once slaves on, and we're going to say, you have that little plot, and that's your plot, and you can make a little money. And then what did they do when the slaves went to like sell what they like harvested? They were always like, oh, they were always like paid less. And then they say, oh, we have to deduct out your utilities. And, now we have to like pay you for the food and the slop that we give you. And now we're going to have to pay you for that house that we used to like house you as a slave in. And so they could never get ahead. It was like awesome. Slavery was awesome as well. But sharecropping, like, legalized slavery. It's awesome. We're just going to keep on taking money. We're going to keep on getting rich off the backs of these slaves. And this is what modern day sharecropping is. It's this buy now, pay later stuff. I'm on my other screen, as you can see. This is this buy now, pay later stuff. You cannot let yourself get into this hole. I know what it's like to be in a hole financially, and you cannot dig yourself out. You're in the water, and you're sinking down to the bottom, and you can see the sun at the top of that lake, and you just can't get up there. and you're feeling like the water is going into your lungs and you can't breathe. And that's what these are going to turn into. And so I'm begging you, people, do not get into this. If you are in it, I need you to stop, reassess, and stop. Pull yourself out of it and make your payments and close them out. And never go to these buy now, pay laters. I would rather go hungry. I would rather go hungry. There's no food service that I could order that justifies me using buy now, pay later. None. There's nothing out there. I used to like I past coffee would have went out and said, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go out and get this furniture, buy now, pay later. I would have got this mattress, buy now, pay later. I need I need new clothes, buy now, pay later. But at a certain point, you have to like say to yourself, this is the money I have to work with. Right now, we're in scary times. You don't even know if you're going to be able to have a job. You don't know what's going on with the workforce. Our economy is contracting. You cannot afford this. So please do not do this. I feel so much better. I have been holding that in. Black women, you do not want to put yourself in a situation where you are financially dependent. You are a financial sharecropper for these scam artists. I'd rather you just did layaway. I don't know if they still have it anymore. I don't shop. I don't need anything. But if I had to do layaway, or if I had an opportunity to like, if I'm like, there's something I have to have it. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do some layaway. And I will just set it up. Excuse me, my phone keeps going off. It's driving me crazy. And so I'm gonna just turn this off. And it's not letting me turn off. My phone is AI. It won't turn off. And now it's like it's actually like repeating everything I'm saying. This is so weird. Anyways, and it's kind of scary though. I think my phone is listening to me. I'm gonna have to turn it off when I'm not when I'm not using it. Okay, but just be careful, please, ladies. Be careful. Remember I said this channel is in part is I started this channel in part because are so we are such hard workers. Black women, we work so hard. We we are doing so much. We are trying to take care of everything. And it's really hard to have peace of mind when all of this is going on. And I think being financially unstable is one of the worst things. One of the worst things. You know, it's not like Good Times where, the TV show, right? If you're younger, where they were poor, but they were always having some fun. And I was like watching Good Times, like that ain't no fun. And look, I am from that area, not from Cabrini Green, because it was based off of Cabrini Green in Chicago, right? Robert Taylor Holmes, those type of things. And I wasn't in there, but I'm from Chicago. And so I know that if you're poor for real in Chicago, you are not having jokes and funny and fun every single week. It's just not. You're not. So don't put yourself in a poorhouse and like make yourself financially like crazy because you can't dig yourself out of a hole. Okay. Next thing. I'm going to just say this, and this is where I'm going politics. So you can pause here, and I'm going to tell you where to pick up. in the I will put it in the description. Where can you pick up? I have been watching this back and forth with these two crybaby man boys. We have the most in this hand here, we have the most powerful person in the world. And in this hand here, we have the richest person in the world. No matter what, I don't care what's going on with, and we know what's going on, so I don't have to say names. When the most powerful person in the world and the richest person in the world are going back and forth and they're fighting and back and forth, here's what I say, because my friend was messaging me and he stopped because I brought up some very good points. Isn't this great that the two of them are fighting? It's so much fun. And I was like, no, it's not. Because here's what everything is when it comes to this whole administration and everything is a diversionary tactic. Smoke and mirrors. You see how the musician, or not musicians, the not musicians, the magicians, not musicians, I'm sorry, how magicians will do this. They have this sleight of hand thing. And really all it is one big diversionary tactic. So they like put something in, they like said, hey, I have this ring in my hand, and then we're gonna make it disappear. And then they do like this whole like and then suddenly it's like gone. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, the pen is gone. And they're like, no, it's not. It's behind your ear. Look. And everybody's like, oh my gosh. Like, wow. And the whole time the pen was like, in his hand, like in that person's hand. Here's what magicians do. That's what they do. It's all a diversionary tactic designed to pull your attention away and look at one thing. And when you look at that one thing, then something else really bad is happening over here. And so this is what I'm going to say, Black women. Stop falling for the okey doke. I don't care what they're talking about. I don't care if they're giving out each other's secrets. At the end of the day, both of these two are still going to benefit from whatever happens. And the people who are not going to be benefiting are the people like us that are sitting here and everybody's tee-heeing and tee-heeing and tee-heeing. I don't care. Stop tee-heeing and start focusing on what's going on in the background. I don't know what's going on in the background because quite frankly, I'm just like, you know what? I just don't have the bandwidth to like keep up because something bad is happening every day. But I'm going to guarantee you, ladies, whatever is going on with these two, which I still don't believe is like a real fight. I think it's like, it's like a little cat fight. Because this is what it is. For those two, it's a cat fight. Like, for us, it's like entertainment. Like, oh, everything's falling apart. I do not believe that for a second. I don't believe it for a second. And I'm going to ask all of you not to believe it either. I'm going to ask all of you to keep your eyes on the prize and to look at what's going on in the background, because this is just what I'm suspecting, something really bad is happening that's causing them to divert our attention away from whatever it is. Because here's what, the most powerful man in the world, if he really wanted to take out the richest man in the world, because let's just say they're both men, richest man in the world, all he would have to do is say, cutting your contracts. And you are not legal by our standards. And we figured out X, Y, and Z because you said so. So we're going to strip your citizenship and we're going to deport you. Done. It's over. The richest man in the world has information. He's big on data. And he knows all the skeletons in the closet because the most powerful person in the world is also an idiot and has given the richest man in the world access to everything. And if you are even a little smart and you have access to everything, then you're going to take everything that you can, including whatever you can on the other person who has the most power. Because if you're the richest person in the world, don't you want to be the most powerful person in the world? And how do you get power? By taking down the person who has the power. So how do you get the power from them? You take things that you know will hurt them, and then you can use it against them and turn them into your little puppet. The person who has the most money can shut down this person that is the most powerful person in the world because this person loves attention. Shut him down off your social media and take away all the weights and the biases that you put that and the algorithms that gives him the power. You could take that away. You could expose him by giving all the data that you have on the most powerful man in the world. Just throw it out there, lob it out there. That's just a couple of things. And the fact that they're not doing that, it's a diversionary tactic. So don't fall for the okey doke. Okay. That's it with that. Now, I'm going to talk about something else because it really upsets me. And I'm going to go back to because it's so many achievements that I couldn't even remember. But I'm going to say this briefly. There's a number of books that are coming out. They're dragging this doctor in front of Congress of some kind of congressional hearing. These Republicans are dragging President Biden's doctors in front of some kind of hearing because they want to check they want to check, like, is he cognitive? Again, what's going on with President Biden and God bless him for, like, because my father had prostate cancer and he was at that stage where President Biden is. It's a serious thing. When you are, I think they said he was stage 4. That's as bad as it gets. When the cancer's in your bones, that's bad. And the reason why I'm tearing up is because I'm thinking about my father, not President Biden. God bless him, but I'm thinking about my father. And at a certain point, because they were like, we can control the prostate cancer with hormonal therapy, but once cancer gets in your bones, it's a limited amount of time. I don't know how much time. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but that's something that should be scary. And my father died from it, and he died from it at too young of an age because he simply wasn't going to his checkups and whatnot. Having said that, now saying that, that it was affecting his mind and that he was going through some cognitive issues in his final years, and they've, like, Jake Tapper has written a book about it. And now, what's her name? Jean-Marie Pierre, I can't remember her name. Whoever the woman was over at the White House is saying she's now an independent. And you know what? I'm an independent now. I'm no longer a Republican or a Democrat. I am an independent. And I think she was saying, or penning, the woman who was the spokesperson over at the White House. So she was saying, look, the Democratic Party is just kind of, it's a mess right now. And I don't feel really comfortable or happy with how they're doing. And so therefore, I'm just nothing right now. And I felt the same way. I was to the point where I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with all of it. I'm going to be independent and I will make up my mind just by looking at the people and the issues and what I know about them and the research that I can do on these people. But for what it's worth, I will never, ever, ever, ever say that President Biden wasn't a great president. Was he like one of those like big presidents that did like all these like major achievements that were like transformative to the country, where like he was like World War, and that wasn't his thing. I think he did a lot of things behind the scenes, and a lot of people are not understanding. And Black people, look, he did a lot of things that were like had never been done for people of color, and not just Black people, but people of color. And I think a lot of us tend to forget because you get all of this stuff being thrown at us. And here's what I'm going to say first is that number one, I'm not young, and the mind that I have right now is not the mind that I had 15, 20 years ago. I have a problem with staying up past 9 o'clock. I'm like this. Like I just I'm tired. And so if somebody comes out and says, because somebody was talking about this on a news show today, like, yeah, that President Biden had a horrible debate performance with Trump, and like it really made people like say he's in a mental decline. The man was tired. And look, and I get it. Like when I'm that tired, when I'm up that late, I'm sure it was past his bedtime. I'd be mumbling too. Now, does that mean that he wasn't like mumble jumbo? I'm like, wasn't having some, no, I mean, I'm sure he was. But no matter what they say about how mentally good he was not. He was not. There were a lot of great things that were done by him for us and for marginalized people, more so sometimes than any other president. There's another president that had cognitive decline that was clear and obvious. And nobody talks about that when they talk about what they say was happening with President Biden. And that was President Reagan. I was a kid, and I remember specifically, and I wasn't that old. I was still in grade school, listening to him in a speech in the second administration and saying, "What is this man saying? I am confused listening to him. I'm a confused child." And I remember as well in his administration, okay, I finally was able to power off my phone because this is driving me nuts. Um, in his final years, I think it was like years for his 4-year term. I would confidently say in his last 2 years, I barely saw him. And I remember thinking to myself, because he was out quite a bit. Come to find out that the man had Alzheimer's and died from Alzheimer's. And nobody's talking about the fact that this man had Alzheimer's when he was in the White House. And let me tell you what else Reagan did for Black people. Yeah, that's what he did for Black people. Nothing. So I really, really, really don't want to hear about like all of the things. Everyone slips a little bit. As you get older, we all know it. Come on, ladies. We all go through a little thing. I still I have to put everything exactly a certain way, because if I don't like see my keys where I think they should be, I'm like, where are my keys? I don't even know at this point. I'm like, did I take the dogs out? A couple of nights ago, I was like, wait, did I take the dogs out? I was getting ready to take them out again. And I know they were like, woohoo! But then I was like, wait, I did take them out. I have to keep to a schedule. I have to keep to a schedule. And I have to put things in a certain way. When I'm going to go to the gym in the morning, I know that I need to put certain things out the night before in a certain way, in a certain place, and make it a routine. And then if anything goes wrong with that routine, I glitch because I'm like, oh, wait. And I'm not saying that he didn't have moments. I'm sure he had moments. The man was old. And quite frankly, I think politics itself should be term limited. I don't care if you're the president, the vice president, the in the cabinet. I don't care if you're a congressperson. I don't even care if you're a judge. There should be an age limit, like the FAA. You know how it is at the FAA, where if you're going to be like watching the planes, right? If you're like one of those, see, here's one air traffic controllers, and they're watching the planes, they make you retire at a certain age. I think it's like 57, age 57, because they're like, you just ain't as sharp as you were like 20 years ago. You're not the sharpest tool in the shed. You're not the sharpest crayon in the Crayola box. You aren't, you don't have a full load of, you're not working with full load. You just don't have the acuity and the like mental like alertness to like quickly react. And so for that reason, at 57, they're like, you're out. You're done. Your eyes aren't the same, like your hearing's not the same, your focus isn't the same. It's just not. What is Biden, like 81? I think he's, or 82. I think he's like 82 now. No, of course, there's going to be some issues. And he should not have been able to say, I want to run again. He was supposed to be a bridge. And they should have been grooming. And this is where I blame Democrats. They should have been grooming someone else to step up. And they didn't, because we got complacent and lazy. And in the meantime, behind the scenes, those people with Project 2025, who've been working on that since the civil rights days, probably since before that. As soon as they said you slaves are free, they were working on Project 2025. They just didn't have a name for it. But do you know why they called it Project 2025? Because they knew the 2025 was their year. Because they knew that Democrats are complacent. We got someone dumb as rocks that can run. We got, SCOTUS in our back pocket. We've got like certain like topics that we know resonate with our cult people, and we're gonna roll with it. And action. And it was very easy for them to come in and just take it over. And by the time they went back and says, hey, President Biden, you can't do this, it was too late. And so we're where we're at, not just because it was a whole perfect storm of things that went all the way back. I would say, like, really started to accelerate the first term of President Obama. That's when the Project 2025 people from the Heritage Foundation went into overdrive, because they're like, we're putting it together. It's starting to come together. It's starting to come together. We just need a little bit more. We just need a little bit more time. No. Okay. So the man was old. And I think he just thought, I could do it again. But I will never say that President Biden, didn't put in like what, over half a century of dedication and sacrifice for this country. including losing his son, to a war. Like I just will never say that he's a bad person for it. Okay, now having said that, I'm just gonna just pull this over here because I just want to be able to kind of like talk through some of the achievements that he did. Now, um, I'm just running down some of the things here. President Biden's American Rescue Plan had 160 billion for pandemic release that supported safe school reopenings, extended unemployment benefits, and delivered $1,400 checks to most Americans. I'm just going to go through economic growth and small business. The administration's powered a small business boom with 21 million new small business applications, the most in any presidential administration. If you go to SBA, and maybe not SBA now because it looks like it's being morphed, but SCORE, and I'm going to write this down. SCORE. I right now have a business that is being helped right now in terms of mentoring that I'm getting from SCORE that I started a year ago. And my business is a lot farther along because of the things that SCORE offers. And you need to start doing SCORE. I just went to one where they were like, this is how you get government contracts. This is how you get grants. This is how you get money. Okay. So that's what they're talking about. The administration aided over 8 million renters and hundreds of thousands of homeowners to prevent evictions and foreclosures during the pandemic. Let's talk about small business. Okay. Black and Latino business ownership reached historic heights with targeted federal contracting and loan programs supporting traditionally underserved groups. I know that for a fact because I had another business. That failed during the Trump first administration. I couldn't get a loan. And I've been banking with this bank for like 15, 16 years. And I was like, y'all, I have put over $500,000 through my accounts, through you over the years. And you're telling me that you can't give me a loan? And they're like, yeah, we can't give you a loan. Can you give me a line of credit? Couldn't even give me a line of credit. I just didn't have the money. I couldn't get a backer and I lost my business. I wish I had opened that business in 2020, 2021, something like that. Landmark legislation and infrastructure investment. 600 billion invested in infrastructure, healthcare, and social safety net. We are having an issue right now with this big, beautiful bill. They're cutting social safety net programs. Basically, what they're doing is they're cutting everything that President Biden did. He expanded Affordable Care Act premium tax credits. They're going to eliminate it in that plan. He lowered or eliminated health insurance premiums for millions. He invested in all kinds of research, cancer research, and research for veterans and security, seniors for cancer navigation services. He was the one that said he negotiated to get those, to get the, what do they call it? The diabetes meds, like the shots the insulin shots, and got it down to like, I forget what it was. It was like $30 a month for seniors. And then what happens is we get the new president coming in, new administration, and they said, nope, done. It's kind of nuts. Let me roll down here. Workers' rights. The most pro-labor in history. The first time I'd ever seen a president go to a strike at a union. And then what happened when this new administration came in? We have Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos pairing up together to go to the national, or to like fight the unions, and go to court. I think they went to the Fifth Circuit and says, hey, unions have more power than what they should have. And Fifth Circuit is This is what I hear about the Fifth Circuit. That's where cases go to die. Good cases go to die. So yeah, so they were able to win that. Climate clean energy conserved 674 million acres of land and water, invested in clean energy infrastructure, including low and zero emission buses. He's the one that like invested in EVs. I can't even understand. This man shot himself in the foot. This rich man, richest man in the world, shot himself in the foot because we all know for a fact that his money is directly tied to his EV company. And if his EV company loses money, he loses money. Is he still the richest man in the world? Yes. Can that go away? Yes. You know, brought us back into NATO. You know, brought in other countries into NATO. Yeah. I'm going to roll down here. How did Biden help Black people? Achieved the lowest Black unemployment on rate and created 2.4 million jobs for Black workers as of August 2024. Cut Black child poverty in half in 2021 through expanded child tax credit. I wished I had children. Support for Black-owned business. Black-owned businesses grew at the fastest rate in over 3 decades under his administration. The value and the number and dollar value of SBA-backed loans to Black-owned businesses tripled. Awarded a record $10 billion in federal contracts to Black-owned small businesses. Invested more than $16 billion in historically Black colleges and universities. Gave billions to them. And what did the current administration, what did he give to historically Black colleges, HBCUs? Like I think 150 million. My father went to a historically Black college and university, and I pray for it every day because I'm not sure if they're going to survive this next administration. He increased the maximum Pell Grant award by $900. I know that for a fact because I was in school, and they sent that letter to me and said I could get more for the Pell Grant. Approved nearly $170 billion in student loan debt collection for almost 5 million borrowers. You know, these are just some of the things. Oh, and let's talk about just one thing about what he did for like the law. And well, not just the law, but just with he appointed, like I'm just gonna say he appointed the first Black woman to the Supreme Court. And that to me was historical. It was mind-blowing. He appointed more Black women, Hispanic women, and Asian women to the federal bench than any other previous president. Remember, when you are a federal judge, you're appointed for life. For life. 37% of his judicial appointments were women of color. No other administration has ever appointed that many women, that many people of color. Biden's appointees now account for more than a quarter of all active federal judges in the United States. That is incredible. It's these federal judges that have the bite that can stop things that are bad from happening. You know? There's a lot that he did. And we need to appreciate that. I know this is going on forever. I always say I'm going to make it 30 minutes, and then it ends up being like an hour. But here's the thing. Cognitive decline or not, we have to admit, or not, I'm not saying admit, you need to acknowledge that he did things for Black people, Black women. Important things that made our lives better. And so I don't care if he had some mental decline. They all do. And the fact that this person in the White House right now who can't even speak full sentences, that talks about things that I think are not even in reality, saying that, like that President Biden was killed and there was some kind of robotic, like something that took over the office for 4 years, and then on top of that, he keeps saying he won that 2020 election when we all know he didn't. The whole point behind that insurrection was that President Trump, or the when he was still president, was sending in false, fake electors or fake people for the electoral board to like go in and change the votes. If he had wanted, why would he need to go send fake people in? And when that wasn't working, they're like, okay, let's just send everybody down there to stop the process altogether. It's it's nuts. That is kind of nut stuff. And all this stuff. And if you don't think that the person in charge right now has a mental glitch going on, that is like he can't get out of the glitch, just listen to these two crybaby man boy, rich, like idiots going back and forth on Twitter to like insult each other all day long. And I don't care, like whoever the president is the president, whatever. But I expect you to do your job, not get on Twitter all day and flame some dude back and forth. That's mental decline. That's mental decline to the extreme, to where you have to wonder if there's something wrong with him. And not saying, hey, you know what? Like people get older, and yeah, we all slip. We all slip. I mean, I am, like as good as I am at my job, there are just times when I'm like, I can't remember everything. I told you at the beginning of this that I am working really hard to get like, I think 5 or 6 or 7 certification, technical certs. And I have to crunch it in a very compressed time. And so I am constantly working with notes and cue cards and whatever, because I'm like, I'm trying to keep everything straight until at some point it just kind of settles. And that's going to take some time. And that's just me working with IT. If somebody's running a country, like there's a lot more that they have to juggle around. And so, yeah, your mental awareness has to be here. And if it's here, I'm not mad if things are getting done. But if you are like below, like here's like the 7th circle of hell, and you're like in the 10th circle below that, there's something wrong. And you should not be running this country if that's where you are. I would hope that the person right now, the most powerful man that's running this administration right now, would be where President Biden was. Because if he was, then, it would be like, but he's not. And that's where we need to put the concern, because President Biden right now is gone. All the things that he did are now being erased. President Biden is very ill. I don't care what they say, he is very ill right now. He has cancer in his bones, and he has prostate cancer on top of that. If he lives 2 more years, I think his family will be grateful. So why are we putting this huge distraction of like, oh, President Biden was in a state of cognitive decline? And when they keep using those same words of cognitive decline, like they use of fraud, waste, and abuse, that's a distraction. And I'm going to ask you to stop being distracted by the stupid things that don't matter. If he was really in a state of decline to the point where this country was on the edge of losing democracy, of losing the Constitution, of people having no confidence, people not being able to buy food, of inflation going out the roof, going out of control, of people being worried that they're heading towards a depression, then they would have for sure been investigating President Biden during his administration, not after, when all of the problems that we are having right now has not to do with what he has done. So stop focusing. If you are focusing on that, I'm going to ask you, I am begging you to stop focusing on that distraction. Okay, I'm out of time because I know it's been an hour. So I am not going to go off into politics again like this. I don't think so, because it exhausts me. And quite frankly, I don't have enough carbs in my body right now to like deal with this like in a video. I just don't. Like my body mentally doesn't have the carbs. So I'm gonna go back to the other fun stuff that I like to talk about. I'm like, tomorrow I'm gonna do my weigh in and I'm gonna give you like some check-ins and I'm gonna bring the receipts and show you like what I've done for my workouts. And I'm gonna let you know what I'm doing for upcoming workouts. And I have absolutely no idea how I've been doing. I don't feel like my clothes are looser. I don't feel like I look any differently. I covered the mirror. I have a mirror when I first walk into my house and I hate looking at myself in that mirror. So I got a towel and put it over the mirror. And I was like, I don't want to see myself anymore. I'm tired of looking at myself right now. I'm not happy with it. So so I will check in with you tomorrow. I promise there will be no talk about politics. Until then, I'm gonna sign it off right now. This is Coffee Brown. And I am finishing up. I'm going to ask you to like my video. Subscribe if you haven't already. I promise I'm not going to go all back into politics. I want to go start talking about my end game plan of getting out of this country, moving overseas. And it's starting to finally kind of like pull itself together. And I feel like I'm in my final, not feel like once I get my two of my three contracts knocked down, then that's it. Like next step, consulate, make my appointment, produce my contracts, and then it's just like making the plan. When am I leaving? But anyways, like my video, subscribe to the channel, help my algorithms so we can get more people in, and make a comment below. But if you're gonna sit up there and say President Trump is helping us out, he's gonna make us the best, and and he's gonna fix the problems, and like, I'm not gonna engage you. I'm not gonna sit up here and argue with you. Um, I'm simply giving my opinion. You didn't have to watch a YouTube video if that's your feeling. Like you go to the MAGA channels and just deal and just be in your be in your two-dimensional tunnel, and that's good. But for if you got something that you want to say, put it out there. I'd like to hear, how did he help? Like, was there something that you felt positively affected your life with why you were, why Biden was in charge? If you said no, then I already know. By you not answering, that means no. There's nothing that he did. I don't need to see the negativity. I had like something, like some lady kind of yelled at me a few weeks ago, and I was like, look, lady, like, I'm sorry. You just need to move on someplace else, so I'm not going to engage it. Um, and and if you are in the buy now pay later, and maybe this was the wake up call, put in the chat and be like, I'm done with that. I am done with that, sister. And if you've seen if you were in it and you want to like, make your confession, I'm curious to see if anyone else is in a buy now pay later. I did it once, paid it off, and I was like, I'll never do that again. And it wasn't that I couldn't pay it off. I was just like, why did I do it? I could have paid it all off. Okay. Boom. So let me know what you're thinking in the chat. and keep it civil. I will see you tomorrow, hopefully with a good update. But even if it's not a good update, I feel better. I feel stronger. I feel like I can do a lot more, and I'm ready for whatever challenges come for me with my lifestyle adjustment. Bye, everybody.